Going on, y'all? It's Athletes Culture again, coming at you with another video. So today I was on YouTube and I stumbled across this video that ESPN First Take put out on starting an NBA franchise, and this list was made by Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective, and the list was basically the best players to build an NBA franchise around. And it was a pretty controversial list to me, seeing that not necessarily because of how low LeBron James and Kevin Durant were, which is what they were trying to angle on ESPN First Take. That was the discussion on how do you have Kevin Durant and LeBron James, two of the top three players in the league, at 12 and 13. And Max Kellerman, being typical Max with his crazy takes, was bringing out all sorts of unnecessary information like, the Achilles, LeBron's age, et cetera, et cetera. But, when you bring up these hypothetical best players, you have to put all that aside, and we're just looking at the talent, sheer talent. And those two definitely do not belong at 12 and 13. They're definitely top three players. Giannis shouldn't be in the top three. I look at him more of a top 5, maybe top 10 for sure. But what's most important on that list that I found shocking was the fact that Luka Doncic was at number 2. Now, Luka Doncic is the reigning NBA Rookie of the Year. And all throughout the year, everybody who was Luka supporters kept on arguing that, they don't like Luka because he's a European and, he's a foreigner and et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Every excuse under the book. And Luka had a phenomenal season. I do not want to take anything from him. When you look at his numbers and his performance, averaging 21.2 points per game, 6 assists, almost 8 rebounds. I mean, for somebody that was only 19 this season, that's incredible. 19 at the start of the season. That's incredible. And then turn 20, those are huge numbers. Can't take anything away from him for doing that. Then he started 72 games, the most out of any player on the Mavericks this season. 72 starts. I mean, that's incredible. Do not want to take anything away from the guy. But for all his little fans out there that want to complain that, you're just hating on Luka because he's a European, he's a foreigner. Well, look at the league awards this year. The league and the rest of the fans don't seem to feel that same sentiment. The reigning MVP is from Greece, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Defensive Player of the Year is from France, Rudy Gobert. Most Improved Player, Pascal Siakam's from Cameroon. So it's not because he's a foreigner, because clearly foreigners cleared up the league awards this year. Out of the 5 possible awards, 4 of them went to foreigners. But I think it's just, the overhype of Luka is just getting out of hand. Because when you look at it in terms of top 10 players in the league on who to go with to start a franchise, Luka doesn't even crack that list. He doesn't even crack top 15, doesn't crack top 20, top 25, or even top 30. Luka Doncic does not crack any of those lists. If you're putting age, injury, all that aside. Now, if you want to talk about people within his realm, I choose, when I'm comparing them starting a franchise, if I want to put age into perspective, I'm looking at players 25 and under, because 25 is typically when a player enters their prime. That's when they're about to start their prime and, get off. And if I were to select or start a franchise with age in mind, I'm starting with Giannis at number 1, Karl Anthony Towns at number 2, Joel Embiid at 3, Jokic at 4, Trae Young at 5, Ben Simmons at 6, Zach LaVine 7, Devin Booker 8, Luka Doncic 9, and then 10, Kristaps Porzingis. My top 10 for top players 25 and under. Now, you're probably asking, how can you put Trae Young? Because I know a lot of people like to badmouth Trae Young. But when you look at Trae Young, he was legit. Around the same age as Luka. He's just a couple months older. He was born in September of 98. Luka was born in February of 99. But look at Luka's numbers. Trae Young's numbers. Averaging 19.1 points per game, 8 assists, almost 4 rebounds. The guy started off slow in the season, but he finished the season strong. And what's most importantly, when I look at the numbers for Trae Young, is this. I'm looking at the usage rate. As a point guard, he had a usage rate of only 28.4. 28.4 compared to, in Dallas, Luka had a usage rate of 30.5. What that tells me is that Luka is very ball dominant. Actually, both of them are. But Trae Young was not on the ball as much. And if anybody watched the Atlanta Hawks this past season, Trae Young was getting yanked out pretty frequently for DeAndre Bembry at times. Until he started getting his shooting stroke going again. So his coach really, held a leash on him. Kind of held him back. Lloyd Pierce, nice guy, cool dude, held back Trae Young. And I feel like if he actually let the reins go on Trae Young, his numbers would have been off the chart. But the only thing I would say out of the players 25 and under that I will give to Luka Doncic is that he's the youngest, only by a couple months, being that he's 20. He was born in 99, so that's pretty impressive. But, there's other young players that are coming out that I would say an honorable mention would be Zion Williamson. He's 19. Cam Reddish is 19. Those are talented players. And another honorable mention I would put out there is like somebody like Alonzo Ball to start a franchise with. So this love affair that people have with Luka Doncic, I just don't really understand it. The guy's cool. He's a great player, but there's nothing different that we haven't already seen. And when you compare him against his peers, he's not better. You look at the players like Zach LaVine, very slept-on player. Zach LaVine I would choose to start a franchise with Zach LaVine definitely over Luka Doncic. When you look at his shooting percentages, for all you stats geeks, he's shooting 37% career-wise. Career 37% from three. Can handle the rock, can score the ball at will, can distribute the basketball. Zach LaVine's a very talented player, and he's only 23. It's just unfortunate he's in a crap franchise, the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, I like that nickname, Young Hollywood. Sure was. And at UCLA, they held him back at UCLA. That's how many people didn't even really get to know how dope Zach LaVine is. And when you look at players like a Nikola Jokic at only 24, he made it on All-NBA first team. Arguably the best center in the league. So, there's a plethora of talent that you would take before Luka Doncic. It's just this media ploy that they just want to pump him up. And there's so many different angles you could take at it. Some people like to bring the racial connotation that, he's a foreigner, you're European, but he's a white European and all that kind of stuff. Or who knows? I wouldn't put it past Mark Cuban to have paid the media folks to try to pump up his guy. But more so said, you have to put in a lot of consideration that, hey, when we're looking at starting a franchise, we have to look at skills and talent. Skills pays the bills. Skills and unique talent. And there's nothing really unique about Luka Doncic in the sense that he's not the physical enforcer of a Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a very physical type of player. He does not have that type of size or girth at all. And Joel Embiid has skills to couple with that. The guy can hit threes. 7-footer that can hit threes at 24. And this past season, averaging 27 and 11. Man, come on. Not happening. 7 foot 250. And when I go back to Karl Anthony Towns, Karl Anthony Towns, he also has size coupled with great athleticism. And for a big man, his shooting percentages are like guards. He shot 40% from three this past season. There are guards in the NBA without that type of shooting stroke. So he definitely has the size and the skills. So you didn't even tell me you're going to take Luka Doncic at 6'7" at best, I think he is? You're going to take him over a 7-footer with skills? Yeah, 6'7"? No way you're going to take him over that. No way at all. And Jokic has a great skill set. And now you're going to probably bring up, what about Ben Simmons? That's what they all are. He can't shoot. But he's also a 6'10" point guard. Think about that. A 6'10" point guard that can get out on the break and score at will. So he has gifts that you cannot teach. 6'10", 230 and moving the way he is. You cannot teach any of that. At all. I don't know why, man. Just look at the things this guy does. Ben Simmons, I mean, he's going to do some big things in the league. Big things in the league. I mean, the guy, once he gets that shot going, I swear, once he gets that shot going, I mean, Ben Simmons is definitely just, shout out to Switch Cultures. Just YouTube Switch Cultures and watch some of the open runs that Ben Simmons has been putting out there. I mean, Ben Simmons is a man, dog. He's a great talent. Absolute great talent. But back on this, Luka, I like him. Very good, very skillful player. The handles, he's crafty like a Harden. But when I want to compare him to, like, let's say, a Trae Young or Devin Booker, he does not create, the type of attraction that Trae Young has. No way. Trae Young can shoot the shit out of the basketball, can create a play out of nothing, and doesn't need to be on the ball as much as Luka Doncic. Trae Young can actually play off ball and just light you up from three. That's part of the skill set. Like, that magnetism, that's stuff that Steph Curry has. Steph Curry's a point guard, but doesn't need to be on the ball to be effective. The defense will be zoned in on Steph Curry at all time. And the same thing with Trae Young, a.k.a. Ice Trae. You see that same type of regard with players like Devin Booker. These guys aren't the most athletic, Trae Young and Devin Booker, but their skill set is off the charts. Off the charts. They can shoot the ball and play make. They don't need to be on the ball like a Luka Doncic. So definitely, if I'm starting a franchise, I'm choosing those 8 players: Giannis, Karl Anthony Towns, Embiid, Jokic, Trae Young, Ben Simmons, Zach LaVine, Devin Booker, well before I talk about Luka Doncic. But I want to hear what y'all have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm out.